what is an incredibly difficult 9-game road trip here to finish the season against teams that are fighting to get into the postseason. So it's John Dickinson with you here on this Tuesday evening as we keep things rolling up until 11 o'clock, and the Giants back to 500 as well with 4 games to go. Spent a good chunk of the program last night discussing the old, what does it all mean? And, I mean, not a whole hell of a lot in the grand scheme of things, but, again, I don't think there's any harm if you're a Giants fan in watching this team play good baseball for the last couple of weeks of the season, even if, all told, the season has been a major disappointment, as it has been, and all of these wins coming seriously in the too little, too late department. But it's funny, the Giants equaling their win total from last year with 4 games to go. So in all likelihood, they are going to be an improved club over a year ago, as disappointing again as the season overall has been, and as much as the bar has been raised in terms of what was necessary to get into the postseason. And the Giants are attempting to legitimately play spoiler. I mean, the sweep against the Royals really hurt the Royals, who still are holding on now with their win today to a 2-game lead with a couple of games to go in the American League wildcard race for that final wildcard. And the Diamondbacks are really fighting. I mean, they look like a lock to get in a couple of weeks ago, but now that's 3 straight defeats overall for the Diamondbacks, and they're just a half game up on Atlanta for that final spot here, as there are now just the 4 games to go in the season for Arizona. The Braves at this point with 5 games to go, as the Braves got a win, and they've all of a sudden won 3 straight. So 808 KNBR, 415-808-5627. That's the number to give me a call or shoot me a text. Logan Webb and 5 home runs for the Giants in this one, as they have played Arizona tough, much like they have played San Diego tough in the season series. 6-6 now in the season series with 1 game to go between the Giants and the Diamondbacks. And how about this one? The Giants, a plus run differential now on the season as well. There's all these things that are going to look up at the end of the year, and it's going to kind of make the Giants look a little bit better than the eye test proved them to be over this season, where they had just not been able to come up with enough big hits or play enough clean baseball. They look relaxed and dialed and ready to hit the offseason in stride. 5 home runs in the ballgame tonight. Patrick Bailey for the first time since the middle of July. Michael Conforto, a 3-run shot. Conforto and Wisely, each with 3-run shots in the same inning, as the Giants blew it wide open there in that 3rd inning. 2 3-run homers in the same inning for the first time since the magical campaign of 2021 for San Francisco. Elliot Ramos piles on, and Tyler Fitzgerald goes deep, as the Giants did get a run late on a bases-loaded walk, and they are dominant in this one tonight as they get the job done by the final of 11-0 back of Logan Webb. We'll see if Logan Webb is done for the season or if he comes out and throws one more game on Sunday. He is in line if the Giants want to have him pitch on Sunday at home against the Cardinals, and we'll see if Webb needs that to lead the majors in innings pitched. But nice performance from Logan Webb, and I mentioned the Giants' run differential. They go from a -4 to a +7 with the 11-0 win in this one, and now 4 games to go, sitting at 79-79. Not going to be near close enough. Eliminated 5 days ago, but the Giants finishing strong for whatever it's worth, and we can get into that conversation. What is it worth? Anything for a second consecutive night. Again, no harm, no foul, I think. And anybody watching or listening to the Giants, I think you'd always rather see your team or listen to your team win as opposed to lose. But, I think you have to factor in just, what truly matters as you look at those who performed at a high, Elliot Ramos going 4 for 5 and hitting a home run, like, that's meaningful because Elliot Ramos is going to be, in all likelihood, the starting left fielder for the Giants next year. He was the DH tonight. Like seeing Elliot Ramos do big things, I think that matters. Michael Conforto going deep probably doesn't matter because he's going to be gone. Tyler Fitzgerald hitting a home run for the first time since August. That's significant because he's going to be somebody that's going to be around and probably have a starting spot somewhere for the Giants going into 2025. And all of this independent of, whether Farhan Zaidi winds up being the president of baseball operations next year or not. And we can get into that as well because he addressed his future, at least the best that he can, with the assembled reporters in Phoenix before the ball game. So we'll get you some quotes and excerpts from that conversation. And he basically admitted that he doesn't know if he's going to be back. Under contract, yes. 1 more year in terms of guaranteed money as opposed to 2. But just as he is in a position to evaluate the Giants season and a disappointing one at that and what's worked and what's not, it's ownership's job to evaluate Farhan and whether or not he should return or not. Again, I've made my case at the beginning of the Royal Series, and I've done it all year. I don't think anything that happens here on this road trip matters as far as my evaluation. It's 6 years. It's what amounts to 5 failures in 6 years in terms of getting into the playoffs. And I think while there are a handful of pieces that do project well into 2025, there just hasn't been enough. And I think that the Giants do need a fresh start with somebody new at the top. And that doesn't mean that some of the players that have flourished for the Giants aren't going to be a part of the plans for 2025 and beyond. That doesn't mean Bob Melvin isn't going to be part of the plan for 2025 and potentially beyond. But I do think the Giants are in position where they do need a reinvigoration at the top in terms of continuing to build on some of the things that did go well this year. And I think an added excitement for this team that hasn't really felt that way the last month, but I talked about it a lot last night and even more so last week. Giants fans were more excited this year about this team, which I think is why they're all the more disappointed in the fact that despite the 7 of 8 on this road trip and the 5 in a row since they've been eliminated, they're still 8 games out. And even though they're on track to win more than they did last year, the gap between where they are and being a playoff team, let alone a contending team, has been expanded. So the rest of the National League and Major League Baseball has gotten better, and the Giants haven't made up enough ground. But for one night, Logan Webb gets the win, 5 home runs for the Giants, and they're back to 500 after, again, reaching what was their low point of the season at the end of the last homestand at 6 under 500. They were 72 and 78, and they are now 7-1 since, so that +6 to get right back to 500. If there's one thing they've done like clockwork this season is they get to that low mark, and then they get back to 500, and 6 under will be the low mark of the season now for sure with the 4 games to go. The worst the Giants can do is 79 and 83. The best they could do is 83 and 79, which is incredible. And look, I don't think they'll win out, although the way they're playing, you never know. You got 3 games against the Cardinals team that's out of it this weekend, and the Giants have played much better in the second half. And really the last 2 months, they've played better on the road. The long ball on the road, more clutch hits on the road. They've just played more relaxed on the road. At home, they have not played nearly as well. Kind of a flip from where things were in the first couple of months and really the first half of the season. But all in all, again, if you want to react to this one, you can jump in and join the conversation at 808 KNBR, 415-808-5627. How does this last week and a half change the way you look at this season? How does it change the way you look at the future? All right, let's get it rolling here on the phone lines. We'll keep it going to 11 o'clock. Let's get it going. We got the great Kyle Haar in our San Francisco studios tonight, and we'll start with Isaac in Foster City here on Sports Phone Post-Giants Game Edition. Isaac, you're on the Sports Leader.
How are we doing? I think this week is a lot of fun. Great to watch Giants play winning baseball. it puts a smile on my face a little bit at what's been a pretty dark year. I honestly, I almost forgot about Jung-Hoo Lee until they showed him on the broadcast tonight. So that puts that makes me feel like, all right, we're going to have Ramos and Jung-Hoo Lee, and it'll be a fight for that last, or Yastrzemski maybe, or it'll be a fight for that last spot. But I don't think we should give up on Farhan yet, and I know he's had his struggle. I think you let him play out his last year. If he gives us to another 100-win season, which won't happen, I don't think. Great. And you let him play out his last year, and you go from there. I mean, you have to admit that he has done well with finding young talent. I mean, he got us Ramos, he's gotten us Fitzgerald. So he's done a good job in that regard, and some of the draft picks with Eldridge and Hunter Bishop and things like that. But, it's just one of those, it's the life of being a Giants fan. The highs are great, and the lows are lows, and it's just another year of mediocre Giants baseball.
That's it, mediocre, and thanks for the call. Look, I think what I wonder, and we're going to find out here in the next week, Isaac. I wonder if the decision it will turn out has already been made, and again, not that the last week and a half should impact the decision, but it kind of feels like to me like the decision maybe already has been made without a vote of confidence or an acknowledgement here with a week to go that Farhan would, in fact, be back. So they're either deliberating it, but to me, if you're deliberating it at this point, you might as well just let him go. I found it interesting, kind of the tenor of the conversation with the reporters that he had there in Arizona. But no, I appreciate the call. I agree with the first point, and thank you, Isaac. There's no harm in watching your team win. Like it's nice to see some other teams that have some playoff aspirations. I think if you're a Giants fan, get the pressure really being put on them. I mean, they've made Kansas City sweat. They're big time making the Diamondbacks sweat, and the Diamondbacks may wind up blowing it. I mean, this is a team that won the National League pennant last year from that last wild card spot and has had a better season than they did last year. And now they're fighting, and tomorrow's a huge game for them to win and to finish and to get themselves into that same final spot. Even though you look up in the standings, and they're having a better year at 87 and 71 than the 84 and 78 year that they had a year ago, and the Mets are right there in that mix as well at 87 and 70. And then you've got the Padres, who are basically in at this point, and San Diego leading the Dodgers right now, although the Dodgers are threatening in the bottom of the ninth inning in Los Angeles. And that win for the Padres would put them in, I believe, if they can get that win finished for the Dodgers. I'm not sure about the tiebreakers on that, but yeah, I think the Padres can find themselves in if they can finish. But the Dodgers have a couple of runners on with a couple of outs. And did the Dodgers just turn a triple play? I think the Dodgers just turned a triple play to end the game at Dodger Stadium in the bottom of the ninth inning. That is incredible. The Dodgers had runners at first and second. It's all going to get reviewed here, and the Padres, with the win, are in as a wild card team, and obviously they pull now with the win closer to the Dodgers, who are in as well, but haven't quite wrapped up the division. But yeah, Manny Machado, a 5-4-3 triple play, and it looks like it's going to stand. The old around-the-horn triple play to clinch it, pending review for the Padres down at Dodger Stadium, so they're kind of waiting to celebrate getting into the postseason. But, yeah, that's one you don't see a lot, and no, they turned it. That is going to stand down at Dodger Stadium. Wow, kind of mesmerized by that here, watching it on the screen. 808 KNBR, 415-808-5627. We'll get to Big Sam, we'll get to Nicole, we'll get to Jason, and we'll get to Scott in San Francisco as it is. John Dickinson here. Sports Phone KNBR. The Padres are celebrating at Dodger Stadium. They clinch a playoff spot with a 5-4-3 triple play against L.A. Giants get a big win, 11-0, and they are back to 500 with 4 games to go. What does it all mean? We'll continue to discuss right here on the Sports Leader.
The nighttime is the right time for Sports Phone KNBR. Let's go on the sports leader. Streaming live on YouTube at KNBR 1045.
0-2 Fitzgerald, high drive, left field, gone! Another one! Just amazing. Tyler Fitzgerald joins the party. That's 5 home runs in 5 innings for the Giants tonight. And it's 10-0 in the 5th. Which of these teams is going to the playoffs?
Well, it's not the Giants, Dave. We know that, and we've known that really for about a month as the Giants officially eliminated last week, but they were unofficially eliminated at the end of August. Giants are making some teams sweat, though, and they do it again by beating the Diamondbacks 11-0 down in the desert, and the Giants continue to play good baseball. 5 in a row since being mathematically eliminated, and they have won 7 of 8 now on this road trip against the Orioles and the Royals and the Diamondbacks, and the Giants will send Mason Black to the hill tomorrow as they will go for another sweep, and this is the longest winning streak also for the Giants this season now, with the 5 consecutive wins immediately coinciding with their mathematical elimination. We'll get to Farhan Zaidi as well, meeting with writers in Phoenix, and as I mentioned earlier, acknowledging the fact that the Giants are evaluating the organization after what is still very much a disappointing season, and he knows that that includes owners evaluating his job status. He said, quote, this via Alex Pavlovich, that process is happening, and I understand it. I don't think anybody could not understand it. Tonight, though, Giants 5 home runs, Bailey, Conforto, Wisely, Ramos, and Fitzgerald, and Logan Webb pitches well, and Logan Webb gets the win as the Giants are back to 500. Webb, in this one with the victory, improves his record to 13-10 on the season. 6 shutout innings for Logan Webb to dip his earned run average to 3.47 on the season. All right, let's get back to the phones. 808 KNBR, 415-808-5627, and that means Big Sam in Lake Merced next here on the Sports Leader. Hey, Big Sam, what's going on tonight?
Hey, what's going on, JD, man? Thanks for taking the call. Enjoying the show thus far, and, you got some great takes, man. Look here, man, been watching this team since 1979. I'm coming up on my 50th in a week, and I would have thought that I would have treated myself to a suite or a nice playoff ticket for my 50th, but that's not going to happen. Am I excited? Absolutely. That, these young kids and the team is not mailing it in and throwing in the towel, but where was this team in July and August? Where were they, JD? I mean, I like that they're playing, spoiler. I like what the Padres are doing and celebrating in Los Angeles, but I wanted to come on and talk to you, and you're well-rounded in your sports. Take a look at the win total, whether it be NBA, whether it be NFL, and in this case we're focusing on MLB for tonight's show. Recall the 2011 St. Louis Cardinals that won the World Series with 83 wins. And we can fast forward to last year with AZ getting in to the World Series with 84 wins. That tells me that teams are not going to win 100 anymore. So where is the bar going to be set with the Giants would have had to win 90 to get in the playoffs, as we're seeing that right now?
Yeah, well, they set the bar, I think, based on the last couple of years, because the Diamondbacks and then the Phillies, it wasn't the best Phillies team that went to the World Series 2 years ago either. They were in that mid-80s and that third wild card. That third wild card has gone to the World Series in the NL both times that they've had it, 2 for 2 since they added that extra wild card. That team has been the team that's represented the National League. So I think the Giants thought that they could put together a team based on the team that they had last year with some additions that could go from 79 to 84, and that would be good enough. Well, this year it's not good enough. Now, does that mean it's not going to be good enough next year? We don't know, but I think here's the thing, and I think this works against Farhan, and I'll let you continue your point. Part of the reason Farhan Zaidi was hired was because I think there was a belief that he could, in some ways, and I'm oversimplifying it, but I'm going to say it this way, that he could kind of easily get a team every year in that 85 to 90 win range. And maybe that's good enough some years, maybe it's not, but enough years you're going to be in the mix and you're going to be one of those wild cards. Like, I don't think they hired him to win 107 or be competing with the Dodgers or the Phillies, but I think they hired him because they thought they could be in the mix every year. And the fact that, the 1 year it takes 84, you win 79, and then the 1 year maybe you win 82, it takes 91. Like, none of that works. The goal, Big Sam, and this is what I'm getting at. The goal should be you got to win 90. Like, that should be the goal. It's not 100 or 105, right, but the goal needs to be you got to get 90. If you come up short and you get 86, well, then that might be good enough or not, or 85, but it can't be try to win 83, 84 and hope that year you're going to sneak in and be one of these teams that's been able to make a run to a World Series from that last spot. The bar has to be higher. It doesn't have to be 100 higher, but it needs to be 90 higher. That 90's always been a reasonable number that gives you a real good shot to get in. Not every year, but most years 90 will get the job done.
Look, JD, and I'm going to make it real clear, and, I love my Giants, but I'm very critical also. And I think, honestly, Mr. Sabermetrics, Mr. Professor of MIT, Mr. Mathematics at UC Berkeley, I think has probably going to find a new area code or is probably going to have to sell his home. That's my most humble opinion. If I'm wrong, I owe you dinner at Original Joe's. I really do.
Well, I'll take you up on that, Sam, but I agree with you. I think it's trending in that direction. Like, I think it's trending toward he's not going to be around next week. I at this point, I would be surprised, and we'll see. So, but I'll take you up on that. Anytime you want to go to Original Joe's, Sam, I'm in on that. We can you can call it a win for me or a win for you, however you need to do it. We can make that happen, my friend.
Hey, JG, thanks for giving me my time. And, we all we can do is just, be optimistic. And we know that, you know what, these guys are playing their hearts out. And, look, I like Bob Melvin. I met him, we had like a school student appreciation and, when Bob Brenly was there. And I like Bob Melvin. I think I like Cap also. But I think the guys like Chap and maybe – you know what your biggest offseason move is to keep Blake Snell. If you're not going to keep him, then I think they're going to definitely trend somewhere to find that. And that's what Farhan has been, and that's why I think he's on his last leg is he signs these C- players who other teams don't want to sign.
No doubt. Thanks, Big Sam. Appreciate you, man. I don't think Melvin's a problem. Again, I think you got to get. They just haven't pushed 90. When you look at the last couple of years, the 2021 year notwithstanding, and it's just, you look at the Giants, it was 79 last year. It's going to be anywhere between 79 and 83 this year. It's just it hasn't been enough. So I'm going back through it. They had the 107 year, obviously, but I'm going back through it right now. So 79 last year, 81 the year before. Like, that's not enough. And in an era where there's 3 wild cards and you win 81 and the final wild card wins 84, like, that's not a true indicator of you're close to something. You go 29 and 31 when they let 8 teams make it and you act like, oh, one more hit in the final game of the year and you would have made it at 30 and 30. That's garbage. Like, that doesn't count. And then 77 and 85. So you throw out 2021 because it was a clear-cut outlier. And you look at the rest of these years, and it's 77, It's the equivalent of basically 80. It's 81. It's 79. It's going to be 79, 80 again. Like, they haven't gotten into the – if we were talking about years where they come up short and it was 85, 86 instead of 79 to 81, then I think maybe we'd be having a little bit of a different conversation. But it hasn't been the case. And they haven't made the postseason, even with a lower bar. This year it's going to be a higher bar. But guess what? The Giants wouldn't have made it this year if it took 84 either, because they're only the low bar could be 84 like it was last year. The Giants would be eliminated if the bar was 84. So miss me with the whole. But they won 7 of the last 8 or 10 of the last 11 or whatever the heck it ends up being. All right, 808 KNBR, back to the phones. Let's keep it going with Nicole in Sunnyvale next here on the Sports Leader. Hey, Nicole, how are you tonight?
Good. I just wanted to talk a little bit about the Giants veterans. I'm a little bit more optimistic as a Conforto, but I'm not sure if they're worth praising because there's no playoffs, and also you have a quarter of the Sharks logo showing off in the background. But if you don't talk hockey, then you got to keep the puck out. Go Sharks.
All right, appreciate it. Thanks, Nicole. Did Nicole just want to get that in? Nicole, is that all you wanted to get in? I'm not talking hockey tonight. The Sharks did have another preseason game, but I'll talk hockey. I got Sharks. Yeah, I got Sharks right here. Sharks, Giants, Warriors. We're working on the backdrop. Kyle, what do you think of the backdrop? Still needs some improvement. We got Kyle Haar in our San Francisco studios tonight. Kyle, it's a work in progress. It's getting better.
Oh, I like it.
We're hoping, yeah, by Dubs OT time, which is or just around the corner. We're gonna, I don't know. We're gonna put something up here for those watching on YouTube and Twitch. We're gonna, I'm gonna have some bobbleheads or something here on the corner shelf. I've got this wonderful piece of art with the city and the bay and the logos. So it's a work in progress here in the JD home studio. But not talking Sharks after the Giants win 11-0 in the midst of football season with the Warriors right around the corner as well. But the Sharks are going to be in action here soon in a couple of weeks in games that matter. And, the Sharks tonight losing 4-3 at SAP Center in their second preseason game of 2024-25. Yeah, Conforto's done. He's not coming back. So when you look at it, and I kind of did this a little bit in the first segment, but you start looking around, and it's, all right, Yastrzemski, I don't know what you do with Yastrzemski, because I don't think Yastrzemski's had a bad year, but Yastrzemski is kind of Yastrzemski and Wade, I think, are the quintessential, guys that aren't terrible, but you also need to upgrade at those positions if you're going to be the team that actually can contend even for that last spot. So it's no offense to them, but you can't look around and see this season as a failure and then say, hey, I want to keep Yaz, I want to keep Wade. Because those are two positions where you can get better. So, I look around and like I said, Ramos makes that Ramos tonight that's a big deal, 4 for 5. Chapman didn't have a hit tonight. Conforto hits a 3-run bomb, but that's insignificant because he's going to be gone. Bailey's in the plans, and Bailey and Fitzgerald doing things tonight. That's great. I think Wisely can be a bench player, utility guy next year. Maybe a swing AAA to the majors when you need some depth. I think that's probably what he could be a bench player. He could be a bench backup middle infielder, utility kind of a guy. So those are the things that matter. And Logan Webb was good. And the Giants are going to need Logan Webb to be better than good next year. And, I'm with the caller that says, hey, bring back Blake Snell. Absolutely. But that can't be it. Again, bringing back Chapman's kind of price of admission. Bringing back Snell is price of admission. You got to do that and look to add. And I think you have to look to add in right field. You have to look to add at second base or shortstop, whichever position Tyler Fitzgerald's not going to play. I think you have to look to add at first base. I think you have to look to add in terms of the designated hitter. You got to add some power. You got to add some athleticism into the mix. All right, let's continue with Jason in Alameda next here on the Sports Leader. Hey, Jason.
Hey, John. Thanks for taking my call. I just want to say, Farhan Zaidi,
They should have fired this guy years ago. I mean, you couldn't get the Shohei deal done. You couldn't get the Aaron Judge deal done. And now with the Oakland A's leaving the market, the Giants have the Bay Area basically to pull from, and they need to make a big splash. They need to hire somebody that's going to shake up this roster. I mean, I say, hey, I like Bob Melvin. I think everybody in the Bay Area loves Bob Melvin. Let him have a go. But, I mean, you got to bring in somebody who's going to be able to lure some of these bigger free agents away from the teams, because it is laughable that the idea that mediocre baseball or 500 is acceptable to give this guy another year. Would the Dodgers, would the Yankees, would the Braves be acceptable of giving their GM, who just you have high expectations, you have playoff runs in your mind, and you're saying, well, we didn't make it quite to the playoffs, but he means well. Let's give him another shot. No way. You got to get rid of Farhan and just flip the chapter, try to find in somebody who's really going to be able to, shake some things up, get some headlines going, and get some excitement in that ballpark.
I'm with you. I think the time has come. The extra year was this year. Like, I think you could look at it last year and say, oh, all right, maybe one more year if you're being generous. And I was in a generous mood last fall. So I said, all right, maybe one more year. It can't be the same thing or different version of the same thing that it was in 23, that it was in 22. So, to me, and that doesn't mean that you can't take some of the handful of young players that have worked out this year, and they can be a part of the future. And Matt Chapman can be part of the future, and Blake Snell could potentially be part of the future, and Bob Melvin even can be part of the future. All of those things can be true, and you can still look to move on. And I said this last night, Jason, I would not panic about, as I've heard way too much panic about, well, if you get rid of Farhan, how can you be sure that you're going to find somebody better? You can find somebody better. You can at least find somebody that's the same. And honestly, if you find somebody that's the same for next year, that's fine, because you maybe that person winds up improving in future years as they look to take a big picture approach to what the Giants have in their organization and then put their imprint on it. So nobody, Jason, in my mind, and thank you for the call, should fear the unknown of, can you get better? Like, yeah, you can get better, because it's been mid here or mediocre or bad for the last 6 years. So, again, nobody should fear that. Thank you, Jason. Appreciate you. Let's sneak in one more here before we break. I appreciate everybody joining the conversation tonight. 808-KNBR, 415-808-5627. It's John Dickinson here tonight on KNBR, the sports leader, as the Giants do beat the Diamondbacks 11-0 in Arizona. And the Giants now back to 500. They've got a positive run differential. None of it matters because it's basically all coincided with their elimination. But they are playing good baseball here over the final couple of weeks to close things out. Giovanni is next. Giovanni, you went to the A's game tonight over at the Coliseum. A's and Rangers. A's won it on a walk-off. You weren't the guy that was taking out his wrench and pulling a seat out of the Collie tonight, were you, Giovanni?
No, but we heard about it. I told your producer that they had on the scoreboard, he was sitting right near our section. Of all people, Joe Pesci was at the game with some guy, and it was a lot of people. Ricky Henderson was there, and people were walking all over with Joe Pesci going, hey, are you funny? And it was actually, wow. My voice is hoarse from the game. Yeah, it was a lot of people there tonight. I'm a Giants guy, but I wanted to go over there and, pay homage. And, yeah, I get it. It was a really, really cool night. And I'm a Bay Area fan. I love the Giants. This is really sad what's happened. Those people don't deserve that. This is all, John Fisher, shame on you. And all those people that, they're fans over there. I think it's something that we don't know about. And the only person I think, if you allow me to say, is that can turn around this whole situation for the Giants. Are you with me? I'll give you.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you. I'm letting you speak to it, Giovanni. So far, so good, my man. I'm gonna let you finish that thought.
the Giants, if they want to be in business and compete with the Dodgers and the Yankees and the Braves, they got to hire Howard Stern.
Yeah, Baba Booey? Come on, Giovanni. Thanks, my man, Joe. Appreciate you. Come on, Giovanni. Oh, man. All of that to say Howard Stern? Come on, man. Couldn't hurt. Again, nobody should fear moving on from Farhan. I will say that. But I don't think Howard Stern's the answer. But, yeah, the A's did win tonight. Just 2 games to go over at the Coliseum. Had a buddy of mine who's got a bunch of extra tickets who sent me one tonight. So I may end up heading over there on Thursday afternoon. Got a little Warriors thing, so may not be there for the whole afternoon. And what a scene that's going to be. But he's got a group of about 10 people. A lot of my best friends growing up in Northern California, in the Sacramento area. Most of my friends, I grew up a Giants fan, but most of my friends were A's fans, and a lot of them are just heartbroken at what's going on with the A's, and it's sad. It truly is, and it's been a difficult thing for me to process as they now come up with 2 games to go over at the Collie tomorrow night and then Thursday afternoon against the Rangers. All right, James and AJ and Fozzie and Scott coming to you next. Quick timeout. 808 KNBR, 415-808-5627. Giants win tonight 11-0. We'll keep this thing going until 11 o'clock. It's Sports Phone KNBR here on the Sports Leader.
want your reaction, so give us a ring or blow up the text line at 415-808-KNBR. This is Sports Phone KNBR, streaming live at twitch.tv/The Sports Leader.
You know, it's just things happen like this. It gets contagious, and he's playing well, and, you know, you just feel like when you go out there, you got a good chance to win. And, I mean, you know, the Yaz homer, potential homer early is like, you know, we left one on the table there, and then next thing we come back and score some more runs like that. So it's just the way baseball works sometimes. I don't think it has anything to do with the fact that we're in a different position right now. I think it's just guys are playing good baseball and feeling good, and it's just a contagious thing right now.
All right, Bob Melvin there. Giants win 11-0. It is contagious when a team gets on a roll. The question, though, is, well, what allowed them to get on that roll, and was that clearer heads, because they are mathematically eliminated now 5 in a row since officially being done for the Giants, and 7 of 8 on the road trip. But again, the Giants were all but mathematically eliminated basically the final week of August, and it wasn't exactly like they were playing great baseball until the last 10 days. But Logan Webb gets his 13th win. We'll see if it's his final start of 2024. He could make one on Sunday over at Oracle Park, and the Giants are making the D-backs sweat. The defending National League champion Arizona Diamondbacks are having a better year this year than they did last, but they only have a half-game lead now over the Braves with 4 games to go. The Braves have 5 games to go. They play straight through the Diamondbacks with the game tomorrow and then an off day Thursday, and then Arizona is going to finish up their campaign over the weekend as they're going to take on the Padres, and the Padres are still, at this point, in the race mathematically to win the National League West. They beat the Dodgers tonight, San Diego did, and Arizona hosting the Padres this weekend. So we'll see. In all likelihood, the Dodgers wind up winning the National League West, but you look at where the Padres are with their win, and the Padres suddenly are hot. They've won 5 in a row. And San Diego's only 2 back of the Dodgers here with 5 games to go. So 5 games to go for both the Dodgers and the Padres. So the Padres still alive in the NL West, although it's a long shot, but only 2 games. And, you know, you look at the Padres right now and what's going on with them as they are able to win at Dodger Stadium tonight and clinch their playoff berth with a 5-4-3 triple play down at Dodger Stadium. The Padres have 2 more against the Dodgers, so they got a shot. I mean, if they win the next 2, they're tied in the National League West with 3 games to go. So, and they play tomorrow night and Thursday night at Dodger Stadium. So 808 KNBR, it's John Dickinson here on a Tuesday night. Giants win 11-0. Let's get back to the phones, and that means James and Clovis next here on the Sports Leader. Hey, James.
Hey, John, how you doing? Thank you for taking my call. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you got it, my man. What's on your mind tonight?
No, I just had just a little input tonight. I missed quite a few games in the past few weeks, and it was amazing to come on tonight's game, getting off work, and maybe having a cold one and catching one and seeing that amazing Logan Webb. That was unbelievable just to come off with that, and congratulations to him. Just to watch the post-game interview with him to see the motivation that goes into the off season, which kind of went to a segue where I was going into is he talked a lot about the newer players that were just coming on, and it seems like it was a trend where Farhad was coming in and, hey, we already know we checked out. Almost it seemed like we're checking out in August, early August, of like, hey, we're just going to start bringing on new guys. And, maybe there's a trend that's been happening. And if you look back at Sabian, I found a quote earlier that said, I saw no light at the end of the tunnel, quote, with the Giants, and thought it was best for me to move on. And you couldn't really find anything else with Sabian leaving. And my question is more of a question for you guys, if you're doing a little research, is we knew Farhad came from the Dodgers. The question is, for keeping it in-house, and the Giants really have an in-house team, especially with their fan base, is we know Buster Posey's in the house. And what are the future options that you see, that you may hear, of him possibly becoming a GM? And where do we end up with Farhan for where we're at right now?
Yeah.
Because this is it's very disappointing.
It's disappointing this year, disappointing last year, disappointing in 22. I think you can throw out the COVID year of 2020, but it was disappointing in what was his first year in 2019, and Bochy ends up leaving. And, yeah, Sabian was still around and then, didn't really feel like his input, even as a consultant, was warranted, so he moved on at that point. I said last week, James, if Buster Posey – I think you can find Farhan Zaidi types. They're all over the majors, and the structure right now of the way franchises operate is you have your president of baseball operations, and to me, if Buster Posey wanted that job, he could be the Giants' president of baseball operations. He could be the person that's on the dais and meets with the media and has the meetings with ownership and the board and all of that, and also, has significant baseball input as a future Hall of Famer and a 3-time champion and all of those things. Like, he can be the one who, in many ways, I've likened it to the 49ers. He could be the John Lynch, basically, the guy who, people like hearing from and like talking to and gives you a real appropriate, honest evaluation of things. Maybe he's not the nuts and bolts, day-to-day, full organization talent evaluator, but you can find those guys. And to me, you can look around baseball and you can find a GM that's maybe in that number 2 spot of a successful franchise and look to bring that person in, and they're going to operate probably in a similar way as Farhan has. Now, you hope with more hits than misses and more big player hits than misses, or players that turn into stars than misses. But ultimately, Buster Posey's the guy who would have final say and be the guy that would try to pull things up more closely to the way I think Giants fans prefer the organization to be run. So you need all of it. Like, it's not to say you don't want to have analytics or be analytic. I mean, the Giants, even with Sabian and Bobby Evans and Bruce Bochy, were a lot more analytically driven, especially as time went on, than I think it. We revised history into thinking that they weren't. They were. So you can find those types of talent evaluators to help fashion the type of organization you want to have. But I think Buster Posey would and I also don't, James, want to put Buster Posey like he would be a figurehead. No, he's a great baseball man and knows the franchise and one of the most beloved players in history for the Giants. And so, it's no disrespect to him, but he's the guy that I think if he's the point person, everybody gets excited about it. And then you have him along with ownership hire appropriate people that can put the nuts and bolts of an organization together. I don't think it's that crazy to think that the Giants couldn't move on from Farhan and get a lot of those things right and have Buster Posey, if he wanted to do it, be the guy who's at the forefront of all of it and have it be successful. You take the successes that you've had from this regime and maybe some other ones like Bryce Eldridge that are on the way, and you pepper that with some new ideas. You get a couple big free agents. You become unafraid to make some trades. And all of a sudden, James, you have some long-winded answer. But I think if Buster Posey wanted to do it, I would make that move as soon as next week, to be perfectly honest.
I love it, and thank you for that, because I agree with your comparison with John Lynch. Being a player's player, and I think that's where GM, and I think that's where there's been a separation from more of a corporate to a player's side, where a lot of relations can relate to lots of that. They're showing it right now is by heart. And they're playing with heart, and you saw that tonight. So many smiles in that dugout. You didn't see that all season long. That was amazing. If they could get that going the whole time and have a little bit more, I mean, Hunter Pence did it. They were able to break this drive, and it's a players type system. And I think that would really be great for this type of organization to maybe. San Francisco is all about challenges in the new. Why not try something, rather than the brass.
Yeah. I don't think Giants fans should be afraid, and I know some of the media have said it. Like, don't be afraid of change. Like, there are a lot of baseball executives that operate in a very similar fashion to the way Farhan. Like, you're not gonna lose any of the good. In fact, you may gain somebody that's got a little bit of a different eye toward how they evaluate the numbers or how they evaluate the talent. But I think everybody would be happy for somebody like Buster Posey to be at the forefront of it. He's just respected by players, by players that are within the organization. He's respected by the media. He's respected and beloved by the fan base. Players on other teams respect the hell out of him for the things that he's done, and he's a smart baseball guy. So to me, if he wanted to do it, I'm not sure he would want to do it at that level, but if he did, I'd do it in a heartbeat. Thank you, James. Appreciate the call.
So much. I appreciate it.
All right, from James, we go to AJ in Arizona next year on the Sports Leader. Hey, AJ.
Hey, JD. Good to hear from you tonight. Let me just start off by saying, first of all, I want to congratulate our Giants on a mighty win tonight. It's good to be out here to see it firsthand. When the Giants come to town, it's bye-bye, baby. And I'll tell you what, they own this town, okay? They own Phoenix. They own this town, even on a down year. They really do. And I think that should give Giants fans like me a lot of hope for the future because, even on a down year, we could still show that we're the Giants. And I think we need to start showing, the tradition and the proud franchise that we are. It needs to start to show up on a national level. And for that, I have to say, you got a lot of smart callers tonight. And that's why I love calling Sports Phone because, your honest opinion is great. You can give a lot of well-founded criticism, which is warranted. And then you got a lot of smart callers that are not in a panic mode like myself that say the future's bright with these young players that are up and coming. So my only issue would be, and Farhan has gotten a lot of headlines this year, and rightfully so. He deserves that. I wish this could have happened maybe a few years earlier where we could have seen the youth come up and shine like they're doing now. But my big deal with this whole thing is simply this. If the fans don't truly trust who's calling the shots, whether it be Farhan or ownership or whatnot, then I would have to get behind a strong candidate for a GM like a Brian Sabian who's willing to come in and stand up and say, look, this is what we need. We've got the youth. We've got the supporting cast. Let me go and be that strong face of the franchise that can go get the big fish. And that's not afraid to go after it. That would be well respected. And that these free agents would actually look at the Giants and say, they actually got something cooking out there in San Francisco. Let's go there and build this thing back up. And in no time at all, I think the Giants could contend. They could be serious contenders once again, put some respect on the franchise. And I'd like to really see that. So I'm just happy that the Giants won tonight. Hopefully they can do it again tomorrow. And that's just kind of my take on things. Farhan, I think you've run your course, and I think you got to go. So go Giants. Have a good night, JD. Thanks for the call.
Yeah, no, appreciate it, AJ. Good stuff, man, down in Arizona. And, yeah, I mean, the Giants and their, 64 years in San Francisco and a long time with the spring training in Scottsdale and the Phoenix AAA team going back to before the Diamondbacks were around. Yeah, the 64 years of the Giants being around and having a heavy-duty impact in the Valley, I think that does definitely beat out the, 26 years that the Diamondbacks. I mean, the Giants had a 40-year head start out on the West Coast on the D-backs who came into existence in, 1998. So, no, I don't think the Giants are that far away, to be honest. But don't mistake that from believing that things should be kept the same, because I don't think things should be kept the same. I think if you run it back, it's kind of a buzzkill on this whole thing if you run it back with Farhan again. I think in many ways it negates some of the momentum, because the momentum to me, if you believe in it, and again, I don't really believe in the momentum from year to year at all, but if you believe in some of the individual momentum from this year to next year, all of that's independent. Like, Farhan Zaidi didn't draft Elliot Ramos, okay? He didn't. Tyler Fitzgerald, sure. Patrick Bailey, yes. Logan Webb, no. I mean, we're talking about a handful. Some of the relievers are his guys. I think all that's fair. But again, I'll just repeat myself one more time. I don't think anybody should fear the unknown of somebody new coming in now. It doesn't mean you're going to start over. If anything, it may help you succeed in areas where you haven't succeeded. We know Farhan can get a team to win 81 games. We know he can get a team to win 79 games. We know he's mastered building teams multiple different ways that get right back to the same spot. We know he can do that. Who's going to be the person that gets the 80-win team to an 88 or a 90-win team next year? That's the question. So don't fear that, because if anything, bringing Farhan back, in all likelihood, it probably means you're going to be in this same spot next year. And you might be 2 games out with 5 games to play, or you might be 8 games out with 5 games to play, depending upon where things stand. All right, I'm going to get Fozzie in, and we'll take our last break, and then we'll come back. We'll get Safe at third after that. But Fozzie is next here. What's going on, Fozzie?
JD, what's going on, brother?
How you doing, man? Good to hear from you.
Doing good, man. Just wanted to chime in. Another great win for the Giants, and you know me. I'm sitting here with my adult beverage, and I'm watching the third inning, and it looks like I'm watching a completely different team. So I turn it up a little bit, get my Tito's out, and I'm thinking to myself, why can't we do this, or why couldn't we do this like last month or something? But it is what it is. A lot of talk about Farhan and a lot of questions with the future of him and the future of the Giants with him moving forward. And you know what? I think if he is back next year, you basically just say to the fans that you're okay with being a 500 team. And I don't like that. I mean, we're sitting at 500 right now, and I felt like this team had a lot of potential, especially coming into the year. But it is what it is. I mean, obviously tonight they showed that they could put up runs. But as far as the future goes with Farhan, that's yet to be seen. But I think the lineup next year, I mean, there is a lot of questions too. I'm okay with going out and getting a few free agents. The outfield, I mean, if Yaz is back again, I'm okay with that. Put him out there with Jung-Hoo Lee and Ramos. And we need.
Is that good enough, though? That's the question. Is that good enough? See, I don't think it is. I don't think it is. No disrespect to Yaz, and I'll let you finish, Fozzie. But like, how do you get better? And I think that is part of the issue with the Giants is you've got guys that you kind of like, but you need to get better in certain spots. But then, how do you get better without kind of moving on from some of the guys that maybe you like if they were in different roles? Like if the Giants had 2 boppers and Yaz was hitting 8th every night and able to play a clean right field and you weren't counting on him, then I think you'd feel pretty good about Yaz. And I think it'd be the same thing with Wade. The problem is they've got guys at other positions that are locked in, and so how do you improve? And so I think that that's a conundrum. It's a real one. But I apologize for interrupting you, Fozzie. Finish your thought.
No, I mean that, as a fan, I mean you don't want to, start all over and then be at the bottom tier of having an outfield that isn't that great, or do you stick with a guy who is reliable, who can play some defense? I mean the bat is still there, or do you just start over completely? So for me, it is a question. I mean. And as far as shortstop goes, we need somebody there. I think we can find somebody in free agency. If we move Fitzgerald over to second and maybe get a guy like Kim from the Padres, I mean, he's due up. And then the big question is first base. I mean, what do you do with Wade? Do you sign him again or do you start all over? And then the most important free agent signing, I feel like for us, would be Blake Snell. But all of this is yet to be seen. I mean, the future with Farhan, we'll see what happens. But it is nice to see us getting some runs in and, getting a good win. And, hopefully we can bring this momentum into next year. Cheers, JG.
Yeah, thanks, Fozzie. Appreciate it, man. Yeah, look, again, you can't keep everybody. And then also say, hey, this year's a disappointment, which I think everybody wholeheartedly agrees that it's been a disappointment. So where do you look to make improvements? And I think Ramos is penciled in and left. I think Jung-Hoo Lee's penciled in center. Chapman obviously is going to be the third baseman. Bailey is the catcher. And then I think Tyler Fitzgerald's got a spot somewhere. So that leaves what? Right field, first base, DH, and second or short. So you still got 4 spots. But so maybe if you significantly improve at a couple of them, then you could look to keep Yastrzemski or Wade, but you got to significantly improve. All right, 808 KNBR. 415-808-5627. We'll come back. We got a short one on the other end. We'll get to our final call of the night and some text messages as well. We'll get to Safe at third. He's going to close it out here, and a couple of text messages as we get closer to 11. It's JD here. Giants win 11-0, and you heard it all right here on KNBR, the Sports Leader.
This is Sports Phone KNBR. Dial the digits or send us a text at 415-808-KNBR. We're streaming on YouTube all damn day at KNBR 1045.
All right, final segment. It's going to be a quick one. We'll get to Safe at third here momentarily, and then let everybody know as well that I'm going to be back with you tomorrow here on Sports Phone after the Giants and the Diamondbacks, Game 3 of the 3-game series, 4 games to go in the season. Giants win 11-0 tonight. 510 on the Golden State Lumber and Building Materials text line. John, what you just said about Buster Posey, has me excited about Giants baseball for the first time in 4 years. He would be a great president and CEO of baseball operations. Let's build this program back. Look, if Buster wanted to do it, to me, that's a no-brainer. 314, I'd like to replace Farhan with the GM in either Minnesota or Miami. 408, Lamont and Yaz. You think the Giants have a chance at Teoscar Hernandez or Santander in right and maybe Christian Walker at first? Christian Walker came up last night. I don't see him. I don't know. He doesn't seem like the best fit, but somebody's going to pay him, and I doubt Arizona typically is somebody that's going to go big when it comes to breaking the bank, at least in this iteration. They did back in the early part of their franchise. So we'll have to see. But, yeah, the Giants are going to have to be in on some of those guys. Safe at third. I got 1 minute for you, my man. What do you got tonight? About 45 seconds. So I'm going to let you flow, but get it in.
Hey, JD, good to talk to you. Like I was telling, Big Bill Lasky, I said when the season started, Farhan was on the stool. We're going to see what he's going to do. Now we've seen what he didn't do, and he's gone. He's got to go. He's got to go in the little room with some crayons and do something else with somebody else. As far as the lineup is concerned, you got to keep Yaz. You got to keep Late Night because they're left-handers. And what do we have? We have Triples Alley. You need somebody to put the ball in Triples Alley. You need some left-handed batting in there. Okay? And our pitching, we got some.
Where are you getting better, Safe? Where are you getting better then? How do you get better if you that's the thing. It's nothing against those players, but how do you get better?
You got one thing is you look at the World Series years that we had, and we built from the ground up. We didn't get try to get a whole bunch of home run hitters. They're not coming. Soto, Judge, Ohtani, they weren't coming here. They weren't coming here. Everybody was wishing that he failed. No, they weren't coming here.
Safe, I got to run. We're up against it. Give me a call tomorrow night if you can. I'm going to give you the floor. We'll give you a much greater opportunity to speak to all things Giants here in the future and how things stack up. Appreciate Kyle Haar. Appreciate everybody in our San Francisco studios as well. Overnight Dave, Ryan McCarthy. We'll give this thing a go again tomorrow right here. Giants win at 11-0. And you heard it all right here on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.